everybody, and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, as well as we're talking about all the big bowl games. Brad McMullen, along with Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops. And we want to thank our sponsors today of the Bob Stoops app: Rock and Roll Tequila, Sustainable Solutions, and the Legacy Fantasy Sports app. You want to say anything about Rock and Roll Tequila?
Well, all of them. They're all great products. Rock and Roll Tequila has really taken off. Oklahoma owned, but in about, 10, 12 states now, doing great. The Legacy Fantasy app, now you're going to be able to go with Michael Jordan versus LeBron's all-star team awesome. Against Jordan's all-star team. Would be fun for everybody. And Sustainable Solutions, we got air purifiers and cleansing agents along with energy efficiency companies. So all of it together, it's kept me busy.
Yeah.
Outside of football, outside of coaching now. But happy holidays also to everybody out there.
Amen. So if you're looking for a great beverage to toast in the new year, you got Rock and Roll Tequila. If you're looking for clean air to be in the room when you're watching the bowl game, think Sustainable Solutions. And when all the games are done, but you still want to play sports, think about the Legacy Fantasy Sports app available in the iOS App Store. All right, let's get to the bowl games with the interim football coach at the University of Oklahoma, Bob Stoops. Let's talk about first Oregon, Oklahoma. Huge game in the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, it's a big game. I was on hand to watch Oregon beat Ohio State in the horseshoe. So really a good, solid football team. Both lines of scrimmage are really strong. Their offensive line, their defensive line, both interior D linemen were first-team All Pac-12 players. One of their linebackers, Sewell, great player, number one, and Verone McKinley, a safety for them, is a first-team All-American. So on offense, Travis Dye, they love to run the football. They've been great running the football, and that's when they've been at their best. So we're going to have to do a really good job of defending the run game. Anthony Brown, their quarterback, can also run a little bit. It is a good running the football. So, but anyway, they're also going through a coaching transition. So that's going to be a little bit different for both teams. So anyway, we're just focused on OU being our best, getting ready to play, practicing, and being at our best on the 29th.
And your two-deep roster was just released. We've got some guys that may not have been in the limelight, so to speak, that are going to get that opportunity on game day.
Yeah, but they're all guys that are really good players. Grimes, one of our D linemen, along with Ethan Downs, both those guys will have more of an impact, more opportunities. Deshaun White is a really good football player for us, at the linebacker unit that'll have more opportunities. Along with Danny Stutzman, also another young linebacker that'll have more playing time. So all of it together, it's going to be a group effort, and everybody's got to pick up the slack with the guys we're missing and move on and play.
And then you've got people like Kennedy Brooks, who says virtually he's ecstatic about getting an opportunity to play for you in the bowl game.
Yeah, Kennedy, the last guys, Kennedy's one of those players. There's still a good number of them, 6, 7, 8 of them, that committed to me to play at OU when I was still the coach. And then when they got there in the summer, I had decided it was time for me to retire, and it's just how it happened. But they've all been great players for OU, and Kennedy's a special guy. I always tell my wife, he's one of those, he's an exceptional running back. He really is. And he's so subtle about it. There's nothing flashy about him, but he's so good. He's so efficient. He has great patience to let holes open, and hit them at the right time, and just does a great job. I've always loved watching him play.
And obviously scheduling practices, very, very interesting, difficult, but you sent the players home so they could spend time at Christmas. But on Christmas Eve, you guys are heading out, right?
Yeah, we gave them 2.5, 3 days off to travel home, go see their families, kind of have an early Christmas. And then we're meeting back up to practice on Christmas Eve morning. And then we will travel down to San Antonio in the afternoon and be in place to start our Tuesday practice of game week would be on Christmas Day on the 25th. When we get somewhere, it's Monday through Friday, Saturday's the bowl game. No matter what day it is. That's kind of how you work a bowl game, because we're always used to practicing on or playing on a Saturday. So we kind of schedule the practice days ahead of the game so that it's like a normal game week.
All right, and we touched on this in previous recording, but real quickly, the OU recruiting class for the 2022 class, big names, finished in the top 10 on all the major recruiting services. You had a part in recruiting for those final few weeks. How proud are you of the class that OU is bringing in?
I'm just proud of the guys that's hung with us, and I went out that week. We were in limbo, waiting to hire our new coach, Coach Venables, and at the time, they were in the middle of the search, and I appreciate everybody's patience out there. They were, so many of the families and the players were patient and said, Coach, we understand the strength of Oklahoma. We understand that so much of the university that we loved is all still there. We'll have some patience. We'll give you a little time to see who you hire, and it's worked out great. Everybody's been so pleased with the hiring of Brent Venables, and all the patience played out in a positive way for everybody, and we're fortunate that they hung in there, and we've got a top 10 recruiting class, through all of this.
It's awesome, and you talk about the hire of Brent Venables, a young man from the state of Kansas, wanted to play so much for him. He's enrolled at the University of Oklahoma, right now officially without a scholarship because he wants to play for Brent.
It's amazing, and I know Brent's character. I know Brent isn't encouraging him to come. It's just the strength of him, though. It tells you the integrity, the person he is. And I promise you, Brent, didn't know that he was on his way here, because he would have discouraged it because of his love for Clemson, and rightfully so. Dabo's been great for him and to to his family. But, some things you just can't help. Baker Mayfield showed up here unannounced to play for us, to play for me at OU, and I'm sure glad he came.
Amen.
So
he did all right.
Yeah, that was unannounced, and there's some things you just can't help.
And speaking of Coach Venables, we have a cute little video from an ESPN story done a few years back when Bob Stoops and Brent were on the staff together, and your kids are playing at the practice.
Yeah, our kids were around all the time. I know we all had young kids, and I welcomed them. Young people can be around and not distract you. Certainly, we're all professional enough to get our work done, even with some kids running around, having some fun and enjoying practice, enjoying being with, around the football players. The players are always, it's different for them to be around some young people as well. So I think it really creates a family atmosphere, and that was big for us to have a family atmosphere, and the players always love seeing our kids come around.
All right, and former players, All-Americans, have been on social media saying, Bob, go get us the win. We deserve the win back in 2006. Again, the poetic justice. Ironically, you're coaching football again, and it's against Oregon with a bowl game.
Yeah, that's so be it. I haven't thought about that game in a long time. It is what it is. What happened. It's unfortunate. You just hate for the players as much as anything to have something taken from them that they won. How do you tell your team you didn't do good enough to win when they really did? So that was the odd part of that game. But so be it. Now these are different teams, a different time, and all we're focused on is for OU to be at its best. That's what we're that's all we're concentrating on.
And if you're living under a rock and you have no idea what I was talking about, in 2006, Oklahoma and Oregon played. Oregon was down. They lined up for an onside kick. They kicked the ball. A couple of things happened. Oklahoma, first and foremost, recovered the ball. So the game should have ended right there. But the officials on the field said that Oregon recovered the ball, even though Alan Patrick actually handed the ball to the official. They reviewed it. That's right. It actually went up to instant replay, and they kept the ball, which was crazy. Another interesting play happened a few plays after that, where there was pass interference called against Oklahoma when the ball was actually tipped at the line of scrimmage, which means there is no pass interference, even if contact is made. All those things happen. Oklahoma should have won the football game. We don't want to go through that, but the really cool part is they get to play again. All right, looking forward to Oklahoma and Oregon in the Alamo Bowl game. But we got 13 other games to talk about here real quickly. All right, Houston and Auburn. Auburn is favored by 2.5 in the Birmingham Bowl.
Yeah, I like Auburn. I say that. Dana Holgerson's a great friend of mine, and so I'm going to take it back. And I don't know that his Bo Nix is playing or not. I know he's transferring their quarterback, And I was a big fan of Bo Nix for Auburn, their quarterback. So I'm guessing fact that he's transferring to another school that he's not going to be playing. That being the case, I'm going to go with Houston.
Going with Houston, going with the underdog. Like it. All right, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, your old buddy, 7-5, and they are favored by 9.5.
I got to go with Mississippi State and Mike Leach, and he's got a little bit of vendetta against those guys. I think they still owe him some money. So believe me, if Mike can score 100 points, he's going to score 100 points. So I like the Mississippi State playing for their coach. Playing for Coach Leach and doing a good job for him.
Yeah, and this is a Mississippi State team that has won some good games this year. They're a good football team. I love Mississippi State in that game. All right, UCLA, NC State. NC State favored by 1, but against a good UCLA team.
Yeah, and I Chip Kelly, I'm going to go with UCLA and Chip getting it done. I like the way he coaches and so I'm just taking a flyer there and going with UCLA.
Go with
I'll be honest, too, I haven't seen a lot of North Carolina State to say. I've seen UCLA more.
All right, this is a sneaky good game. Number 19, Clemson, Iowa State. Iowa State, preseason top 10 team. We know they have good players, a lot of guys staying around for this bowl game. Clemson favored by 1 point in the Cheez-It Bowl in Orlando.
I think only because of it's been a disappointing year for Iowa State. I don't care what anybody says. They can say it isn't for them as much as they want. It is. And but the fact that their whole coaching staff has been in place, Clemson, for good reasons, they've had coordinators get head coaching jobs, and all positive reasons their coaching staff has moved around. I think that's going to cause a little bit of an issue for them. And I think Iowa State would, is a strong enough program, even though it's a disappointing year, they want to end the right way. And I think they'll have a good opportunity to do that.
Yeah, great football game in the preseason and great game here in the postseason. I love this game. All right, Pittsburgh, Michigan State. Michigan State favored by 2.5. Pittsburgh's star quarterback will not be playing in the Chick-fil-A Bowl.
And for that reason, I'm going to go with Michigan State. Kenny Pickett, for Pitt's quarterback, was an excellent player all year long. Big reason why they were ACC champs, and I believe Michigan State, even though I don't believe their great running back is playing, they still got the O-line and the pieces around that run game to keep it going.
Yep. All right, let's talk about the Cotton Bowl. Cincinnati, number 1, Alabama. Alabama favored by a lot of points in this one, 13.5.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think Cincinnati hangs in there. I don't think they win, but I think it's close. I just think their defense is that good. Where Alabama has really torched Georgia and some teams is with their receivers and in the secondary. And what I've seen from Cincinnati, they've got a really strong secondary. So I think they can run with them, cover them, play well. But I still see Alabama winning.
Yeah, the head scratch for me is which Alabama team's going to show up.
That's a good point.
I mean, is it a team that played really underperformed in 4 or 5 games, lost to an unranked Texas A&M team with a backup quarterback? I mean, you look at a lot of the ways they played, and then you remember the Georgia game, and you go, wait a minute, they're capable of playing at a really high level.
The most recent game,
yes,
they've played at a high level, and that's been the MO of Alabama in these, in the playoffs and winning these championships. They've been at their best at the end of the year when they've won it. So, you got to think they're gonna do it again.
You like Bama winning, but you think they'll.
I think
Cincinnati
it'll be tighter than that.
Yep. All right, Georgia, Michigan, another great game. This is for the Orange Bowl. Georgia favored by 7.5 points.
Another really good football game. Michigan's a strong team. I've got to see them in person several times this year and have always been impressed. In fact, I picked them to beat Ohio State at the end of the year there in Ann Arbor. Just a strong run game. I love their play calling. Defense does a great job. Mike McDonald, their D coordinator, I think is one of the better guys out there. And the way they played all year, they've really played tough. So they'll play. It's going to be a tight game, and But I still think ultimately Georgia will win, but I think it'll be really close.
And I'm going to brag on this guy. He picked Georgia preseason. Like, this was his national champion, Georgia preseason. So giving you an idea, this is not like new Bob Stoops getting on Georgia. He was all over them early on. All right, Oklahoma State, Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. Notre Dame favored by 2.5.
I like Oklahoma State. I just think their defense, even though if Coach Knowles isn't there, all their other coaches are that are used to running this defense. They got a really mature, older unit. Players that on the Oklahoma State team, and especially on defense. But I just think the maturity and experience of the team, I think overall will win out. I know they're looking forward to this game, playing Notre Dame. And then Notre Dame, I know a little bit of a change with the head coach, but most of the assistants are all still there, so it shouldn't change them a whole lot. But I liked Oklahoma State all year. I thought they have a heck of a team, and I think they'll finish well in this game.
And a great opportunity for the Cowboys on a big stage to finish the year in a big way. I like Oklahoma State as well. All right, Iowa and Kentucky. I'll call it the Bob Stoops Bowl because you've got alma mater, Iowa, and of course you've got Kentucky where his brother coaches. And this is almost a pick 'em. Kentucky's favored by 3 there in the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, I'm all year on set yelling "Go Hawks!" right every time we got an Iowa game or they show Iowa. And I'm always Go Hawks. All my brothers, have gone there as well, and my brother Mark. But blood is blood. I got to go with Kentucky. And I, truth be told, Iowa didn't look good that last game against Michigan. They had trouble scoring. Goodson, their really great running back, isn't playing. Kentucky's a strong, physical, good football team, and have played that way through most all of the year. So I see Kentucky getting it done.
And I go back to the line of scrimmage when Kentucky played LSU, and they literally dominated the line of scrimmage. And again, that same LSU team played Alabama, and that was not the same case for Alabama. So I love Kentucky in this game because of the line of scrimmage. All right, Baylor, Ole Miss. Interesting tidbit here. Coach Levy, OU's new offensive coordinator, will be coaching for the Rebels. Number 7 versus number 8. The Rebels favored by 1 point. Should be a great one in the Sugar Bowl.
Great game, really is. Matt Corral, I love their quarterback for Ole Miss. That Jeff Levy's been mentoring and coaching. Really good football player, but I got to give it to Baylor. Watching them beat Oklahoma State at the end of the year. Really a strong football program. I mean, a strong team defensively. Offensively, even with the young quarterback, came in and played great. They got a strong run game. I'm going to go with Baylor on this.
It should be a great football
game.
All right, another one I'm really excited about, the Rose Bowl. A game that you won. We could just go down and just call all the games that Coach Stoops has won bowl game wise. Utah, Ohio State favored by 6.5. I would argue no one's looked better in their last 2 games of the year than Utah.
No doubt. They have really finished strong. Physical, tough football team. That's going to give them a great chance. I just believe Ohio State, with all the weapons, is going to be able to make enough big plays to win the game. It's going to be tough. Utah's a good, physical, tough football team, and they'll score their share of points because Ohio State's just been okay defensively. But I just think their weapons offensively, all the big plays they can make, I think they outlast Utah.
Should be a great game. All right, Penn State, Arkansas. Penn State favored by 1 point in the Outback Bowl.
That'll be interesting. I've loved Arkansas through the year. I think Sam Pittman, their group has done a great job. And, I'd go with Arkansas on this one. And I'm not sure with Penn State and their quarterback situation, what's going on there. But overall, I've liked what Arkansas has done all year.
And you can see at the end of the game when they actually get the trophy, they're frustrated it's not a bloomin' onion. But we'll have to see about that. All right, the last game, and this is interesting because COVID has been such a big story the last 2 years. Claimed another victim in the Texas A&M not going to be able to play in this year's Gator Bowl. Rutgers filling in 5-7. They are now bowl eligible to take on Wake Forest. And we talked a little bit before we started. what an interesting dynamic. You're on the Rutgers football team. You think your season's over. You've literally turned in your equipment. You're at home on vacation, and then you get the call, hey, guys, let's go to Florida.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because they are finished with their year, and everyone is home for the holidays, and all of a sudden, hey, we're getting back together. And for that reason, I just think there's more continuity with Wake Forest. They've been so explosive offensively, that I think it'll be hard for Rutgers to keep up with that.
Yeah, and Wake Forest has been tremendous on offense. The sad part, though, is their defense has not been very good this year.
Yeah, it's been one of the worst in the country. So, but still, again, I just think that being a little disjointed with Rutgers, getting back together, now meeting up in Florida, I think that's a little bit tough to overcome.
All right, so real quick as we're wrapping this up, you're going to be obviously at the Alamo Bowl. When you're done with that, what is your plan with Fox for the bowl games and different things like that?
No, I wasn't scheduled to be at any bowl games with Fox. Big noon kickoff, our group. We're ahead of, I want to say maybe the Holiday Bowl. We have a half-hour show that the guys locally living in LA, Rob Stone, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, I believe all those guys are going to go in and do a little pregame for that. But I wasn't scheduled to be at any bowl games, so that freed me up to be at the Alamo Bowl, fortunately.
Now you've got a game to do.
Yeah,
all right.
I've got a game.
Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks,
thank you
Brad.
again for how you stepped up for the University of Oklahoma, and good luck beating the Oregon Ducks.
Thank you. I'll take all I can get. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Right.
Happy holidays to everybody.
And don't forget, for videos anytime, just tap on our video link. For the Hall of Fame football coach and interim coach at the University of Oklahoma, Bob Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen.